Okay, good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me? I think so. I just want to check again. Omnovia sometimes has a way of hitting me when I'm not looking. Well, thank you and for coming to tonight's workshop, and let's just get started. I see a few people are still joining, but they should be able to catch up here. Essentially, I'm not sure how long we'll go. I'll try to keep it to an hour, but it'll take as long as it takes. Part of that will be dependent upon the questions and answers. This is the agenda that I want to get through. First of all, I'm going to give you a sneak peek of version 2. I want to make it very clear right up front that this is not a completed product. It's not even ready for testing. We still have a great deal of development left to do for version 2, and we're working 16 hours a day kind of working on this. As soon as I finish the presentation tonight, I'll work overnight with my programmer, and we'll finish up that sometime midday tomorrow and catch a couple hours sleep and start it all over. So this will be a very rough, perhaps buggy, quirky demonstration based off of dummy data, and don't expect a clean product like version 1 is now. I just want to make that perfectly clear. The only reason I'm really doing this sneak peek is because I've got a lot of pressure and a lot of questions from people who are anticipating it, including Rick and Doug. And so I wanted to give a little bit of a walkthrough of where we're headed, and you'll get an idea of the direction. I'll answer questions then regarding version 1 or version 2. And then I just pulled up 3 charts this afternoon that jumped out at me as nice potential trades, and we'll walk through those, and I'll share the trade plan with you as well. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I should tell you I'm going to go through some slides here, and then I will switch over and give you some live screens. I wanted to have backup in case we had issues here tonight. But essentially, the version 2.0 is completely redeveloped from the ground up. And the reason is I wanted to provide a better a lot of the complaints that we got were related to the user interface. And so it's going to be much more modern, much more flexible, and have a better look and feel. It will have multiple independent windows if you like. So you can drag and drop the widgets, which are essentially the tabs in version 1. If you want to drag your trade log into a separate window and move it off to another monitor, you can do that. If you want to keep a chart in a separate window on a different monitor, you can do that. You can view your trade log and your dashboard at the same time, vertically or horizontally stacked. It's a very flexible thing, and you'll see that as we go. You can drag and drop each of the widgets, which were the tabs in the previous version, and move them around, resize them, whatever you like. There'll be 2 styles, a dark style, which I will demo tonight. I may switch over to the light style at some point. And then there'll be multiple colors within each style. So if you choose dark, your options will be black and dark blue and dark green and so forth, the dark colors. And if you choose light, it'll be white and light gray and so forth. Light blue, those sort of things. Let's go through some of the features. In the trade validation, planning, and analysis area, one of the things that will happen is we will auto-populate what is currently the trade description, as well as any rules that you set up. And by that I mean we will automatically scan and identify what the market bias is based on your rules. So if your rule is that the IWM is your benchmark, and when the 8 EMA is above the 20 SMA of the IWM, that's an uptrending market. that's what we will scan for and identify if that is true or false, or what the rule is. It will identify the stock bias. The same thing for the individual stock that we're looking at. It will identify the pattern and the signal. In other words, we're going to be doing some scanning. Uh, don't expect full scanning language yet, maybe in 2.5. But we can scan for the patterns that we will set up and the signals that we will set up front. As I said, you'll be able to define your trading rules. For example, I don't want to enter, I want a warning. Anytime I try to enter uh, I don't know, a bullish engulfing in a strongly bearish market or that sort of thing. Or I want my rounded bottom breakout pattern to have at least 3 closes above the 50 SMA. Those sorts of rules we can identify and give you warnings on. You'll have an unlimited number of entries and exits. That was something that had been requested. So if for some reason you want to, have 5 entries on a trade and, 17 exits, you can do that. You'll be able to compare trade plans side by side so that you can see, what does the A core trade look like versus the trade tractor supply trade today. And we'll have vastly improved charting, which will include indicators and tools, and I'll show you that here in a little while. I'm very pleased with that. That's going to be very cool. Under the trade execution and management area, we'll have watch lists, which you can copy and paste from other applications. So for example, let's say that you scan in TC2000 or wherever, and you come up with a watch list, copy it to your clipboard, paste it into the watch list in Trader Vision, and it's there. And we'll be able to link that watch list to trades so that you can go down through and click them and open up the trade plan for each of those trades. We'll have user-defined alerts and warnings. So if you want a pop-up alert when the stock reaches, a predefined target or price, you can have that. We will have trading with Trader Vision, and this brings up a discussion area that you may or may not like, but it is the way it is for now. And that is, not all brokerages want to play. There are multiple classes of brokerage. For example, there are the Charles Schwabs, the Fidelities, that basically say, no, we don't want you to use our data. We don't want you to use an external application. If you do that, you have to double enter everything. You have no access to the data. There are others who claim that they will provide data, that they have an API, but essentially that's either a lie or they're only interested in doing that if you're Microsoft. In other words, for example, E-Trade, Interactive Brokers, they won't even set up a company account, and then you can send us an email to talk about whether or not we'll give you access, and so forth. Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade falls in that same camp. They've got an API they claim, but they do not respond to you, and they are notorious for taking 2+ years to respond to any request for access to the API. So that may or may not ever happen with any of those brokers. However, there's a third class of broker, and so far we've got one that's willing to work with us. It's a somewhat different situation. Allied Bank is going to be the brokerage over the longer term. Allied Bank, to get into brokerage, purchased Trade King. Trade King is a discount brokerage you may be aware of. I used them a couple years back, and they're very, very good. They got a flat $4.95 commission fee. At any rate, Trade King will work with us through a company they acquired for their technology called MB Trading. So in 2017, This will all become allied, whatever they call it, allied trading, allied investment, whatever they end up branding it. But for now, it will be MB Trading as the brokerage. Same fees, same company. It's just they have not integrated the companies yet, and that won't happen until 2017. The nice thing about connecting to brokerages, in this case MB Trading, is you have real-time data. It's very strong and consistent, and I will show you the MB Trading data here later on tonight. But it is very clean. Everything from tick data, 1 minute data, 5, 10, 15, whatever you want. 1 day, 2 day, 5 day, calendar week, calendar month, however you want it, they will give it to you. Very fast, very clean, and it's a very nice setup. So that's how we're proceeding with that. Initially, you will have options for your data of at least the Yahoo Finance, which is delayed data, and we know that they've been spotty as a data provider. Their servers are sometimes down. They sometimes limit bandwidth to regions. We're looking at another option as a backup to Yahoo, or as an alternative to Yahoo, that would be in the area of $15 a month additional cost to the users. We'll see if we can make that happen. That has not been cleaned up. Nigel, at this point, yes, at this point we have one broker that is on board, and that's MB Trading, which is Trade King, which is Allied Bank. And that's just the way it is. Guys, I'm not going to look at PMs until later. I just got a bunch of them, so I'm sure that brought up a bunch of questions. Let me go on here with the rest of the topics, and then we'll get back into the specifics. This alternative at $15 a month would give us real-time data, give us more reliable data, but it does cost money. And oddly enough, that is about the best that I've been able to find. Most of the data sources that I've found were $50 and $60 per user per month, and those are just non-starters. So, it is what it is with market data. They seem to be very, very proud of their data and want to charge through the nose for it. Other things that we'll have besides watch lists and alerts and warnings are that Dave, yes, I am familiar with Tradier, and we can talk about that later. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked with messages here. In addition to that stuff, we've got over 100 new features, which were things that were requested by users, things that I knew that I wanted to add but didn't have time to put it into version 1, and completely new areas, such as the ability to do tax reporting, the ability for us to have deposits and withdrawals for each account, or schedule deposits with withdrawals. So for example, I want to take $1,000 out of my account every month, or I want to deposit $500 every month or every week, whatever it is. We can set that up to automatically update your account if that's what you want to do. You can edit things like fees. So if you get a brokerage statement after the fact and it says we charged you a $10 fee for something, you can record that and keep TraderVision completely in sync with your brokerage. We're going to have improved performance analysis, much more in-depth and detailed, be able to break things down like assigning grades to trades and doing user psychology testing and so forth. We'll be able to do automated backups, either to your local drive or to a cloud drive, so that you've got, you don't have to manually go in and back up your data. And then we'll do some social media integration if you like to participate in StockTwits or Twitter, Facebook, what have you. So with that said, let me just clip through a few pictures. I hope you can see that. This is what the light interface looks like. It should look very familiar to you. A little bit cleaner and cooler, a nicer look to it. But this is the light style. And it's very similar to what we had in version 1, with the addition of we will now randomly assign a color to each trade so that you can see in the graph what color it is. We've got some better graphing here for the pie charts. We've added some things such as the percent of the account that's long, percent of the account that's short. You'll be able to see what your profit or loss is for the day or for the week or for the month for each trade, and then for overall for the account. That was something that was requested by a user. But in general, that's the basic look and feel is set up this way, especially tabbed, is very similar to what you're used to seeing. And there's the same thing in the dark style. I just wanted you to get a grasp of the two differences. We've got the account manager that I talked about so that we can, for each account go in and set it, and record specific anomalies such as the brokerage charges a fee or the commission that I had listed for a trade wasn't exactly the right commission. You'll be able to edit all your commissions. You'll be able to set up scheduled deposits or withdrawals and so forth. The goal setting is, again, quite similar, but just a new look and feel. And I'm very pleased with how it's going. None of these things are set in stone. We have not decided on this green background for the graph yet. That's just what my programmer had for the demo at this point. And that's true of a lot of different things in the program. So please be aware of that as we go through things tonight. This is the same thing with the black background. Okay, here's the first thing that might look a little bit different to you. And this is what a trade looks like. Again, mostly similar. Again, as I said earlier, everything in the top area except for the ticker and the account selection, and whether you want to go long or short, will be auto-populated. And even the long or short and the account will have default values that will pop in there for you, as well as the maximum dollar loss will populate for you. But all of these things will be scanned and automatically populated. And again, this is just dummy data that's set in there, but it'll look up the market bias. It'll look up the stock or ETF's bias. It'll look up the candle pattern and signal. It will determine, you can of course change these things, but it will auto-populate them. And that will give us the ability to do things like, suppose that we scan and we say that it's not a morning star. We just call it I don't know, bullish engulfing. But you say it's a morning star because you have a looser definition of what a morning star is. Well, you can change that to morning star. It won't, it will use the patterns that in signals as we define them to do the initial lookup, but you will have the ability to modify these things as you want. The right sidebar will be, it's mislabeled at the moment, but it will tell you, these are the trade statistics. What's the break even? What's the cost to enter? What's what price does it need to reach to make your goal, and so forth. We'll have alert section down below this. And we'll have user-defined rules behind or down below this, as to whether or not your trade is breaking the trading rules that you've set up. Something that I did not cover that I should is that if you'll notice there's a little icon up there, and we'll have them on this side as well. This is just again for an example. But let's say that you've got 4 risk factors defined in here and 3 of them triggered. That little symbol will have a 3 in it, and that will tell you that We are that this current trade has three warnings as for market conditions and setup as you've defined them. Nigel, how close am I to release date? I'm not going to give you a date. I will tell you we're working as hard as we can. I'm hoping to start testing the end of the month, the first of next month, and it will be, I'm guessing, several weeks at least of testing. So I was looking for a launch sometime before the end of the year, but it will be what it turns out to be. All I can tell you is we are working very diligently on this, and we make a lot of progress. You cannot really judge the way this looks at and say, well, it's going to take them a month to get from here to there, because my programmer is extremely good, and I work with him. Yeah, I work with him very tightly. So that's the kind of ballpark I'm shooting at. I wanted to have a release this year. And I'm looking for, as I said, my hope is to start testing end of the month, 1st of December, that time frame. Uh, Interesting thing is that, and I'll show you this before, is the trade adjustments down here. You can populate these as before. You can now attach different types of files. So you can attach charts, you can attach spreadsheets, you can attach whatever you want, any type of file to the trade and have that in the feature when you pull that trade back up. This is the same thing in the dark look, and I apologize. This is mostly these things were set up as a backup in case I was having trouble with the demo, uh, as I said before. One very cool feature is that our charting package will be a full charting package now. We'll have all of that information that I show you there. If you've got brokerage data, you've got you know multiple time frames, tick, minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, whatever, 1 day, 2 day, 5 day, 3 day, whatever you like. We'll have the ability to draw manual lines, the ability to set horizontal lines, vertical lines, rectangles and ellipses, and draw Fibonacci extensions. I just drew it to draw it, David. That that pink box is nothing more than a representation that we can draw rectangles. Same thing down here, this ellipse is nothing more than a representation that we can draw ellipses. And I'll show you some of these things later. But in addition, those of you who do like your indicators, we'll have the ability to layer these on as well. So simple moving averages, exponential, weighted, your extension or trend identifiers such as RSI, stochastics, MACD, your average directional index or ADX, average true range, Bollinger Bands, commodity channels. It will actually tell you the trend line. You tell it how many days, and it will auto-calculate and draw a trend line for you. We can do on-balance volume, parabolic SAR, all sorts of oscillators, momentum, the awesome oscillator, vigor index, alligator oscillator, and so forth. And we'll have some slope and curve fitting if you wanted to measure what this move might look like compared to another move. So this is a massive step forward and really puts us in the big leagues in terms of charting. It's as good, well, considering the age of the product, it's as good as any product that I've seen. These are just examples of watch lists. So you can have multiple watch lists. As I said, you can pull each of these off into separate windows, or you could put them vertically if you prefer it that way. And we can gather all sorts of data about them. The day low and high, the year low and high, the short ratio, when they go ex-dividend, so forth. All sorts of information, volume, the average volume, what have you. And you can look at different groups. So this set I threw together are large caps up here, small caps in the middle, and a third watch list of just the indices or ETFs for the indices. And you could do the indices if that's what you prefer. Same thing in the black style. So before we do that, let's switch over to screen sharing. Let me know when you guys can see my screen. Okay. Nigel, to answer your question on integration with Rick's daily list, uh, we've considered it. We talked about it, and I think it'll be doable. Um, Worst case on a copy and paste basis, but it's possible we can do something more automated than that. So we'll see where we go on that. But we've discussed it, and I've got it on my 500 point sheet checklist of ideas that need to be considered, and it will be considered. POC, yes and no. Well, we will do scanning ourselves based on an individual ticker. We do not have scanning as I think you mean it, which would be like TC2000 scanning, where you say scan the entire market for these rules. The formula for a Morningstar or for a rounded bottom breakout or what have you. Yeah, Nigel, copy and paste is certainly there. So, is there a place prefer the chart stock? Uh, I think what you're asking is, uh, does the does the chart offer the ability to show the symbol and the ticker name and so forth? Um, some of that information I'm not sure, and it would be on um, a data source definition basis. So, for example, I'm just going to use the example that one person is using Yahoo, and they may define a company as being in XYZ industry and XYZ sector, and MB Trading uh, may define that same company as being in a slightly different sub-industry, but maybe the same sector. So it would be based on the data source as to how it was defined. But if that data is available, we can certainly display it as a watermark background sort of thing or otherwise. This is this is a very cool. Oh, Joan, you're here. Good. I mentioned earlier, I hope you were here, that the profit and loss stuff that you had talked about is now going to be available. So uh, that's going to be very cool. In fact, my program and I talked about that last night. Yeah, yeah, Rich. That sort of thing is possible depending on the data source, and it would be dependent upon the data source's categorization. In other words, we're not going to make our own categorization of which companies make up which sub-industries and which sectors. We would just report that as being passed through to us from a Yahoo or um, a data vendor or a brokerage. Can you set the most recent days to look at a custom? Yes, that's what these little arrows are for, David. You want 5 days, you want 20 days, you want 50 days, whatever you want to do. POC, I'll have to check on that with MB Trading. I believe so, but I cannot speak for them. And um, that's one of the things that we want from a brokerage that we would partner with is the ability to come on and answer questions for you because they never want anybody else to speak for them, and I understand that. The application will run in very small time frame or footprint, Richard. Um, we're not, since it's not done, I don't want to tell you it's exactly, you know, 4.37 bytes, megabytes or whatever, but I can tell you that I'm running this on the oldest, um, least resourced machine that I have, and I've got 6 different PCs in the house, and it runs just fine. In fact, I'll show you that here in a second. Let me get to doing some of the demo here. So as I said, we've got things like, and again, this is all dummy data, but the percent that's long and the percent that's short. Um, if we are given the date of the next earnings release, you'll know the days until the next earning release. You'll know the days that you've been in a trade. And in fact, you can define whatever columns you want to have available to you. This will be a long list, and you can pick and choose. You may say, well, for my open trades list, I only want to have 3 columns. Yeah, that's up to you. If that's what you want, that's fine. As I said, each of these will be color assigned on a random basis by the program. We don't, I don't think, we're looking, but I don't think we have the ability to make a shade of red for the negatives and a shade of green for the positives. Basically, it's meant to just keep each trade separated by giving it each a unique color. Let me demonstrate what I meant by the flexible interface. Let me just move this over here, and let's create a new window. And let's just go to my watch list and drag that watch list over here. So that watch list is now in a separate window. Maybe if I do this. There you go. So that that watch list has been moved. So let's say, for example, I want to go to trade log. I've now moved this into two frames, so you can see, I might want to, let's go to dashboard. I might want to set up the dashboard side by side with the account manager with the trade log up above, and then if I pick a trade, it opens up that trade, and then I can resize this whole thing. So it's very flexible, and you can move each of these to its own window. You can leave it in that tab setup that we originally had that is very reminiscent for those people who don't like change, and I know that I'm one of them, and don't want to play with this new layout. You don't have to. You can keep the tabbed look and feel, and so it will be very normal with the addition of a couple new sets of tabs for your account manager and for your watch lists, however many watch lists you have. Or you can break it up and make separate windows. You can make it a different arrangement of the widgets on the same screen. So it's very let's do this. I'm sorry guys, I'm just trying to put things back the way they were so that I can make a maximum presentation here. So now we have one window over here with that side window open, and just for clarity's sake, I'm going to close that. The account manager, rats. So the account manager, you would select the account that you're interested in working with, and it would then pull up the details, and this would be all the records that you've entered for that particular account. And if you wanted to add a new one, you could say it's a deposit, it's a withdrawal, you know, whatever the notes and the amounts are on the date, and save it, and boom, it's done. So let's say we're going to withdraw, and we're going to withdraw $100 for some reason, and this is just a test, and save it, and now we've got that entered in, and that's been recorded in the account. So that's just an example of how you could use Account Manager. Let's look at the chart, and this one just happens to have junk on it. Let's pick another one. Who's got a symbol for me? Well, I'll just do Apple then. And again, you see this is Richard that you talked about the watermark. So there's your watermark. The crosshairs allow you to go to any specific day and see what that candle tells you, open, high, low, and close. And this is, by the way, just hooked to the Yahoo data. So it is only set up for that for the moment for this demo. So let's say that I wanted to draw a line from here to here, and I don't like the color of that line, so let's change it to something lovely like blue. So I think everybody can see that line. I press F3 and I'm going to select that line again. And now I've got fibs based on that line. And we'll get, as well as extension, or well as retracements, we'll do extensions. And it is not clean yet, but it is there. And if I want to draw another line, you know, I don't know, I'm over here and I want to put a trend line in, I can do that. I don't like that color on that line, so let's change it to deep pink will work. Okay, so it's very much like any other charting package that you've got or that you've seen. The only difference is ours is about a week and a half old, and a lot of them are, you know, 10, 15 years old. But we're gaining ground faster than they can add features, let's put it that way. Volume in the background, and I think we may end up moving that to a separate window below as opposed to the background, and that's just because I'm not particularly thrilled with the shading. At least we want to give that option. We'll see how it goes, but that's something that I'm thinking about. The point is that our charting is vastly improved, and we've made up a lot of ground. I'm really happy with what we've got, and particularly when we add in the ability to, let's go to trade log, and I've got a trade open here. So I do a trade plan, for example. There will be a button available to us if you're connected to your brokerage. Click the button, and this will pull up a trading form, and it will fill in, based off of your trade plan, the orders that you need to send for your stop loss, your targets, your entries, what have you, and you can say, you can define whether they'll be market or limit or whatever, and the different options that are available, and you will send it. You will trade directly from TraderVision, and you will get a confirmation back pop-up box from your. Yeah, Ron, in the charting, the indicators will pop up in a separate window. So if you want RSI, it'll be, you know, in a separate window below. If you want stochastics, it'll be separate window below. If you want on balance volume, whatever. So yeah, it is a very cool step. We've added some nice features here, and essentially the whole idea of the integration and of these improvements, or one of the primary objectives, is that we would have the ability to do all of your work from within one application, as opposed to having, I don't know, TC2000 open and Trader Vision open and your brokerage open, all three, and trying to deal with those on different monitors or different windows. uh, we'll be able to do everything for you within one application and do the integration in the background that then sends the data. And we have reached out to some other vendors that are not brokerages, such as TC2000, and again have heard nothing back yet. They're pursuing a similar strategy, so I would not anticipate them having any interest in dealing with us. And that has to do with the fact that they've added brokerage services now, and so they're trying to be a one-stop shop as well. They just don't do trade planning. So I guess that is the nuts and bolts of it. Again, the point of this was not to give you an in-depth demonstration. This is not a launch demonstration. This is, I don't believe so, Pak, on the Chaikin money flow. I would have to check. That may be one of the indicators that's available to us. I know that we have got a lot of mathematical capabilities, so if I can find the formula, I might be able to get us program it, without them offering it. Ah, Paul. The answer is no. So the question for those watching the video is that Paul asks, are there any ways or areas to record options trades? This is strictly the stock and ETF version of Trader Vision. Following directly upon this launch and using this new look and most of the same features, but a bunch of additional options planning and trading features, will be the options add-on, or options version if you prefer to think of it that way. And so you will have a choice as a user, whether you just want the stock ETF version, whether you want the stock, just the options version. I know that I've got a number of traders that just trade options, and they really have no use for stock ETF type of functionality. And you can also have a combination of the two. So it will not be, there will be some people that will use both, but you'd be surprised how many times I get people approach me that say, well, I only trade options, or I only trade stocks. I want nothing to do with options. I don't want that at all. Oddly enough, that's the way people are. They like to stick to their niches. And then there are people like yourself and myself that trade both stocks and options. So that's basically what I wanted to share on the demonstration. Let's go back and see if we've got any questions here. I will answer whatever questions you have as much as I can here. Yeah, that's the way I feel every day, Alan. I look forward to getting my hands on it every day. In fact, I have a running joke with my programmer, at 1 a.m. when he's available to me. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I get the demo from last night. Pak, yes, that Yahoo feed is still going to be available. So that is the very least data, or the very least of your options is no cost for the data. It is delayed, and it is subject to Yahoo's capability and whim. We've had a lot of trouble with that over the last year, where their servers are just down, or down for a particular region. Yeah, that Ken, the idea of being able to trade directly from Trader Vision is very slick, and it really takes us into a whole new realm, and it makes it so much easier that you don't have to have multiple data entries and have multiple programs or windows open. So, does anybody have any questions? This replaces the existing version, Jim. I'm not sure if you both will be supported, but I don't quite understand, you know, why you wouldn't do the upgrade. For an existing user, there's no additional cost to go to the stock version, the stock ETF version upgrade. So I'm not sure why you wouldn't upgrade, but if for some reason you don't want to upgrade, yes, I will continue to support the current version. Good. Yeah. No, you're welcome, guys. It's been a labor of love. It's been a little over a year, and hopefully we'll start making some good money off of this, or any money at this point, and the work will pay off. But I think it's a very nice, very slick tool at this point. The look is a lot more professional and world class, I would call it, I guess. Still a lot of development left to do to get this ready, but we're it's kind of like the project management anecdote that people say is you know the the first half of a project takes 90% of the time, and the second half takes the other 90%, and that's kind of how all development work goes as well. Richard, I have very little time to trade myself now, and mostly that's because I'm up all night. I'm working kind of on a 20-hour clock. I'm up all night talking back and forth with my programmer and doing some development. John, I have not said anything about the cost of the product. Um, for existing users, the stock ETF version, um, you know, should be no cost. It's an update to the current version. For new people, we'll be going to a subscription. For new purchasers, we'll be going to a software as a service subscription type model, and we're looking at a price of $37 a month. And the options version will be $47 a month, and the combined version would be $57 a month. Yes, Sam, you can. So in trade log, if you want to, um, select multiple trades and delete them, you can do that. Yes, Bruce, there are as many, multiple meaning as many as you like. So if you want to have 50 targets on a trade for some reason, you can enter them. You enter the data, and it will allow you to uh, keep adding them. And we'll also have some default templates. So if, for example, let's say that you only trade, your preferred way to trade is, one entry, one stop loss, and one exit. We can set that up as a template for you. And so the default view when you open a new trade is one entry, one exit, one stop. Nigel, I'm not sure what that means. Your question is, can you persistent filters on trade log? I don't want, can you explain that better? Yes. Yeah, just as in version one, if you don't want to see closed trades, you can exclude those from the view in trade log. Um, or perhaps for some reason you don't want to see open trades. You only want to see your planned trades. You can do that as well. How do I do that? I can only have one open at a time, so let me close down this demo. Ooh, I'm showing a slide anyway. That's okay. Bear with me, guys. I'm just changing between the demonstration version and the current version of uh, Trader Vision. So let's open an account. I guess I need to switch back to screen sharing. Can you see my screen now? Okay, so if um, I open my search box, and let's say that I only want to look at my planned trades. I uncheck opened and closed. I set the filter, and now I'm only seeing the planned trades. Is that what you meant? I'm sorry, you guys are scrolling past me here. I'm not sure what you mean next time. I just changed screens and came back. What do you mean by next time? Do you mean closing the application and opening it again? Okay. Um, I'll have to check on that, to be honest with you. Close, open app, save, trade log filter. I'll have to I'll have to check, Nigel. But again, if worst case, you know how to do it quickly, so it's not like you said, it's a small pain. But I'll see if I can eliminate that, regardless, if that is in fact still is happening now. Let me scroll back up here. Ken, you asked, will you be able to export and import using Excel? What would you like to export and import? The answer is yes, you can export and import. Um, and you can do that now. So if I wanted to export um, the trade logs that I have here, the planned trades, I click OK, and it asks me what format I want to export them in. CSV is an Excel format. Um, ASCII XML, JSON is a database format. SQL insert statements is a database format. So that does allow you to do that, and you can do that right now. Well, at the moment, John, the question that you asked was, is this product intended to replace or is it meant to work with TC2000? That's going to be up to you as a user. I can tell you that it will work with, but if you were using the full features of version 2, such as brokerage integration, um, and you're comfortable with the charting that we provide relative to what TC2000 provides. And yes, I know they've had 15, 20 years, whatever it is, development. So they've got a head start on us for sure. Uh, the only thing that TC2000 would really be providing you would be scanning. And we may get to that at some point if we have the data. That's the always been the issue. I could add scanning right now if we had the data. And that is the that is the crux. That is the problem. How about a watch list for import, like from TOS? Can you copy them to your clipboard, Alan? If you can I don't use Thinkorswim, so I can't tell you if you can copy their watch list to a clipboard. I would assume that you can. You can in most programs. If you can, okay, so you have to save it to Excel. Your watch list can't be copied to a clipboard. Probably, Nigel. If we can do scanning, we would probably have to increase the price. It depends on how long it would take us to develop it. Yeah, if it can be copied to a clipboard, then it can be pasted into a Trader Vision watch list. One thing I didn't show you, thanks, Sam. Yes, it can be copied to a clipboard. Then yeah, your copy and paste probably one way or the other should work with that Thinkorswim. Um, Something I didn't show you is we've got a built-in browser. So one of the widgets you can open in version 2 is a browser, and it's based on your. It pops up as either as a separate window or as its own frame within the Trader Vision 2.0 work or the separate tab, depending on how you've got things laid out. And that browser is intended for things such as, I know that a lot of you use services like FinViz. I know our buddy Gigi, Goofy Golfer, was big FinViz user and always wanted to have that data close at hand. So you could make a sub window, and make it a small window until you wanted to look at it. That was a browser session um, with FinViz or MarketWatch or CNBC or whatever the heck website you like to use for things such as looking up the earnings report date, the next ex-dividend date. I know there are specific sites that are set up for that, such as what is it, Dividendium, and others like that. So if those things are a focus of your trading, you can have a window and keep that right within the framework of Trader Vision 2000 or 2.0, have that available to you. No, John, that data would just so that you had real-time data um, for prices if you don't use a brokerage. Yahoo is delayed and subject to their own quirks. It's free. That's the beauty of Yahoo. That data service, and there are two of them that we're talking with, at $15 a month would just give you real-time data. You wouldn't be able to trade. You wouldn't be able to scan. It's based on you provide them a ticker, they provide you the real-time data. See, the problem with the data is if you want to do scanning, essentially our program has to have all of the data in the market. So it has to have not only real-time but historical prices for every symbol. And that's, then you can scan against that data once we have it. And that's the problem. That's big bucks. And, the best that I was able to find was like $60 a month per user. And that's only for 100 symbols at a time. If you want to go to having all tickers in the stock market, that's, tens of thousands of dollars per month. So it's just a non-starter. Yeah, but within reason, and that's why I'm able to, so if you provide the ticker, we can then scan that data when you're, particularly when your brokerage is set up with a brokerage, and we can say, yeah, well, been a morning star the last, these last three candles making a morning star, or the last whatever, looking at the current last 100 candles or whatever it is, that's a rounded bottom breakout pattern. But that's a single ticker. That's not scanning the entire market to find all rounded bottoms. So that's the rub. The data is the rub. I never thought it would be, but it is. Okay, guys, with that done, let me go on and do the trades that oh no, there's one other thing I wanted to get to here. Before we get to the trades, I'm looking for some people to help me test version 2 when I get to it, which, like I said, should be end of this month, first of December, in that time frame. I'm looking for people of different computer skills. So, if you work in IT, that's fine. If you are very timid with computers, that's fine as well. I'm looking for a different mix of trading experience and proficiency. And I also want a mix of people who are familiar and experienced users with version 1, as well as, uh, perhaps new users to Trader Vision, or maybe just doing the trial, and are interested to help us test it out and look for bugs and quirks and provide us feedback on what they don't like and what they do like. If you are interested, let me know what your background is. Just send me an email so we can start the conversation and see if that's something we can work out. I don't need 100, but I did lose. Unfortunately, we lost Gigi, unfortunately, and there's another lady that was testing for me, and her husband passed away, and she's kind of going through the grief stage, and we have a third that's been had some medical issues. So I do need to add a few testers to my team. If you're interested, I'd love to have you. So send me an email. That link should work, by the way. Now, with that said, I believe, let's go back to screen sharing. Let's close this, I think. Maybe I shouldn't have closed that. Oh, this is the real-time data I was going to show you earlier. This is set up to MB trading. So I just happened to plug in one of the trades we're going to go through and say, pull the last 105 days. And this is what, almost immediate response. So let's just try a different ticker. With 1-day data, bang, it's already there. It's very slick, very fast. If I want tick data, it gives me the ticks. And tick data after hours is probably not a great idea. Very slick. So like I said, this MB Trading, they've been very great to work with us, and it was very quick for us to integrate their API and get the data feeds working very well. So that's why I'm really liking our friends at Allied. Let's open it, Allied Trading. So let's open some charts and look at some trades for tomorrow. The first one that I pulled up here is Acor, ACOR. It is a biotech. You can see that it is now a rounded bottom breakout. Today is breaking out again after having failed the first attempt. It is also a morning star, the last three candles. It is also a bullish engulfing, if you prefer to say that today. And it's almost a J hook. So I'm looking at an entry at the breakout price up around 2140. I'm looking at a set of targets up here based on resistance. You can see here and here and here. We ran into some resistance about 23.75, and you can see we've got another set of resistance up here about 25 bucks and change. That's also the beginning of a gap. So I just used that and I said, where do I want to set my stop? Well, I'm going to set my stop somewhere back inside. Today was a 4% day. So let's give it a chance to come back down a little bit, but I don't want it if it falls off the cliff. So I'm looking at this area of support to hold and this area that is resistance. So if that area fails, if we fall down below there, below about, let's see, what did I put it as? If we fall down below, say $20.55 or something like that, it's probably time to get out of that. But this is a trade that's well worth looking at. We've got a bullish morning star. We've got a rounded bottom breakout. We've got a J hook. So I'm looking for an entry about 2140, and I just showed you these targets for us, about 23.75 and about 25 bucks. If we have that, we're going to have about a 4.5% risk, and the risk up or the reward up to target one is a little over 10%, and the reward on up is then closer to 16% for overall about 13% for the trade. So we get 2.3 to 1 just to that first target, and that's a very nice setup. Let me screencast that, and as soon as it uploads, I will post that into the chat. Okay, so that's the Acor trade. Let's look at the next one, which I believe was Tractor Supply, TSCO, and my farming background had no influence, I promise. We've got a nice rounded bottom breakout, you can see that, and we had the first consolidation here, kind of a pop out of the box situation where we've got this little three candle box that formed consolidation following this breakout within the RBB. Today we were breaking out, and it looks to me like we've got a support level off of the top of this candle and the bottom of this consolidation area. So that support area is about $70.65, let's call it. We've got a next target up here based on you can see the support and resistance that this level has provided in the past, about 79.22. And then we've got another one up here to fill the gap up around the 200, and you can see where we've got touches and touches and near touches up around 83.30. So that is trade number 2, Tractor Supply. Let's put that there. We've got a nice bullish consolidation within a rounded bottom breakout. We now have a breakout of that consolidation. You could call it a pop out of the box if you prefer. And it looks like it can provide us a little over 2.17 to 1 up to that first target. And that's about a 3.7% risk and about an 8% reward to that first target. And then if we hit the second target, that's about 13%. So overall, it would be a little over 10% trade just to this second target, which will probably be the 200 by the time we get there. Again, for your consideration, I think that's a trade worth looking at. And I'm posting that to the chat as well. And the last one then is pay. Pay is not quite as nice, but still well worth the look. You can see here we've got oh man. Oh boy. Okay. Sorry about that. Having some projector issues. On pay, we've got a similar situation. We've got a nice base formed. We've got a rounded bottom breakout, and now we had the first consolidation right here at the 100, as Hog has identified in the past for us. We tend to get a consolidation or pullback at the 100 once we break into an RBB. I'm looking to set a stop very nice close below based off of this support over here, this resistance here, and the lows of this consolidation area. Looking for an entry just above, and the run up to this first, I guess that's not really necessary. So up to this first line of resistance that we run into, you can see the touches here, about 1855. This next area, it could be either one of these, and so I put them both into the plan. I'm not sure which one it will hit, but you'll find some congestion, some potential resistance in here someplace. So the first one about 1970 is defined by these touches here, and these touches here, and here, and here, and the lows touches here. Providing support and resistance about 1970. We also have off of this low over here and this high here about 2014. So it's someplace in that 40-cent area between 1970 and 2015. So let's call it 45 cents. Someplace in that area we're going to hit resistance. If we use that trade setup, it only gives us about 179 to 1 to this first target. But beyond that, then it gets a little bit nicer, and we can get in the 11 to 13.5% area, someplace in this range. So that could well be a nice trade. A little less than 3% risk for only about 5.33% gain to this first target. But again, as I said, 11% up into here and 13.5% up into 20. So it depends where we get to on that run. So again, this is one that's well worth looking at. And let me share that as well. And I've pasted that into the chat as well. So we've covered a lot of ground tonight. Are there any other questions or anything else that I can do for you before we wrap it up for the evening? I see a couple people typing, so I'm going to hold on. Oh, you're welcome, Francis. I'm kind of proud of it too, so I'm biased, but I think it's awesome as well. Okay, guys, it looks like we're not getting questions, so I will. I want to thank you all, and I appreciate your thanks. Um, Much appreciated. I hope so. The whole idea of the project to start with, John, was to help people improve their discipline and preparedness. So actually planning their trades, knowing what goals they're working towards, and keeping those in mind as trade management metrics. So I will go ahead and stop the recording now and cross your fingers for me.